Hello, everybody, and hail Satan and hail yourselves, because you deserve it. Uh, well, I know that I would love to talk about the Job story, but you see, everybody's heard about the Job story, and sad to say, a lot of them don't look at the Job story the right way. What I want to talk about today, everybody knows this holy man called King David, and everybody knows him for slaying Goliath. And the Bible says he did do that. But have you ever heard about the dark side of David? Well, let me tell you something about David. He was a king, and one day or night, the Bible doesn't say whether it was day or night, that David seen, okay, and God gave him to be king of this whole tribe. He seen one of his soldiers' wives named Bathsheba, and he wanted to have sex with her. Well, he'd sent his some of his uh, people who look at him and do things that he says, his pawns, basically. Well, they go get her, bring her to him, which is Bathsheba and King David, now together. And they have sex together. Okay, God made David king of all these people, of the Israelites. And he has sex with one of their wives. You see a problem with that? I do. Boy, this is some man of God. Well, let me keep going with the King David story because it ain't over yet. Well, I guess a couple of months passed by. The Bible doesn't say, but Bathsheba knew for some reason she was pregnant. She sends word to David secretly. David panics. He tells his other followers to take Bathsheba's husband and put him on the front lines of a war David knew he would die at. That's some man of the Lord to be following, man. Can you believe that? His king sent him to his death. Just because David knew he had done wrong. Well, here, the story's not over yet. Uh, King David, he ends up with Bathsheba having his child. Did you know God made that child sick to where the child died? And he also had David's wives cheat on him. Ain't God against that? That's like adultery, ain't it? But the wives are gonna get to do it anyways, because I guess it's God's will. A lot of people would probably say, well, Roger, King David ended up dying. Oh yeah, also I think King David is also part of Jesus' lineage. I'd have to look at the, the tribes again and the people. But yeah, that God is just, I don't know what to say about it, really. I mean, it's really weird. That a lot of people would say though that that story is showing you how God will forgive you. Uh, why do people got to be forgiven like that in the first place? I mean, that Bathsheba's husband died because David sent him there to die on the front lines of a hot war. I mean, the war was going and people were dying. Uh, is this the God that you want to follow who allows things, I guess, to happen like that in the Bible? But isn't the Bible what we're supposed to be reading to live a good life? I'm going to tell you something. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have a good life. Did you know I get to go to work today because I have a job from 3 to 8? And we're only open for 3 to 8 because it's Sunday, which is fine with me. I can get off work, spend time with my wife a little bit, play Dragon's Dogma, a game I bought for my PS4. I can play that and have a good life. I have books I can read. I almost got a whole library full of books. Yeah, like, and most of them are nonfiction. They're actually about something that happened. These next books I'm going to get are about Greek, Norse, and Egyptian mythologies. I'm interested in that, but you know how I can do that? Because I have a good life and I have a job. I treat people decently too. I try my best, even though they may make me mad sometimes, but I try my best just to ignore it. I just keep moving. There's no need to stop. Stopping is what got me in trouble a long time ago. See, you don't have to believe in God to know these things. You know how you know these things? Because you're going through an experience. Is your knowledge right? Somewhat, yeah, somewhat, no, too. Because you misread it a little bit. There was always something that didn't happen that we thought was going to happen. And, yeah, you don't need no God for that. You don't need no devil for that, neither. Yeah, the devil, I mean, what devil? Prove there's a devil. I mean, show me if this devil guy does exist. I want somebody to show me how to get to him. Because I heard he grants miracles instantly from what I read. Uh, you'd say, but you're going to go to hell. You don't want to go to hell. I'll be like, well, the devil's all the master of everything in the Bible. He has fucked up all of God's plans in the Bible. He made it to where Jesus, which was God killing himself, but we'll just grant what you guys like to say so you understand, to where he sent Jesus to forgive sin. And anyways, let's say that happened. You talk to me, you telling me that the Holy Spirit or God may have had sex with her and put his seed in her. Isn't that adultery? She's with Joseph. What the hell is going on in this Bible? You know, you can't always think that something's right because everybody thinks it's right. You gotta understand, you see, true morals, true good morals come from human behavior, not from something that they have to have faith in because they can't see it, nor hear it, nor touch it, nor feel it, nor have any interactions with it. It's human experiences. Yeah, you don't need a God or a devil. And if you pay attention to what's actually going on, you will hopefully, because some people I can't say this about, but there is people who can, you will hopefully become smart instead of ignorant to the deal. Ignorance is a form of when you're talking to me about what a Satanist is like, but you're not believing what I'm saying. Ignorance is where you think I'm lying and you still believe, but you're going to talk to me anyways, even though it's probably not the way I believe, but you'll never accept that because you're a Christian and anything that's not Christian is of the devil. But it's been time, and time has happened for a villain, for it to be useful for a villain to be in society. Because when it stands up to the Christian morals, or should I say immorality, uh, just remember the King David story when I say immorality, because there's more stories than just that are fucked up. So it's immorality. You're following immorality. Yes, it tells you to be good, but what is good to the Christian standards? We doubt God as soon as our prayers don't start getting answered. We're like, okay, is God really real? Did you know that's a sin? And if you die like that, you won't go to heaven. Yeah, you're doubting Jesus. Yeah, you can't do that. God damn, I'm so glad that now how I doubt Jesus is I just don't really think about him. I make these videos and bring up Jesus, who is Jehovah, uh, but I bring up these videos because I want people to see the truth about things. I try to get people the best I can to look into it. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Look into it, see if I'm right. But are you going to? Because, you might be scared and that God is the only. No, I shouldn't have to look. It's a lie from Satan. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not Satan. I'm Roger Lee Wood, and I'm 41 years old. And I have figured out life without a God, without a Satan that the Christians all believe in. I did this on my own. I've been barely reborn. And here's what I mean by that. And this is blasphemy because I'm not born again in Christ. I'm born again in myself. I'd say I'm going to count it as the year and the couple of months I got for truly being sober without having to go to meetings. Yeah, I do that. I changed. I stopped doing drugs, stopped doing crime, stopped drinking. I got a job. I've got things now. I have a wife. I have people who actually care about me. I have everything right now that I want. And I got that. You say you did a ritual, but yes, I did a ritual. Okay. What is the ritual even to you, and what is a ritual to you to begin with? I got to understand that part before I can even answer the question of, you know, religion or what is like religion to you. Yeah, I got to ask that question too because not only what does a ritual mean to you, but my religion holds a ritual. What is a religion to you? Like, is it the same way religion is to me? Or, you know, I got to understand your question before I can answer any questions like, especially about rituals. Yeah, I got to understand also because I haven't understood. I mean, I've heard all these things, and I tell you, the only reason why I haven't understood them about God is because I've never met God, never met Jesus, who is God. Well, Jehovah. Damn, I'm so indoctrinated. It's like it's stuck in my brain to say God. And I know how I got like it because when I was younger, before I became a Christian on my own, I was indoctrinated. Yeah. Yeah. I do things I want to do now. That's why in my earlier videos of Be Your Own God, that's why I explain about that. because I want people to understand that you don't need to believe in Christianity or be a Muslim or whatever they do down in Hindu and whatever they do in Egypt and whatever they do in Greece or whatever they do anywhere. Yeah. Did you know all those places that I've named have a God of their own? And their God is right. So what makes yours right? How can yours be right if theirs is right? Yeah, you see, what you fail to understand is we've understood everything. Like I've said in earlier videos, we have cell phone waves. We can get to the moon. We can. You say I can't see the wind, but guess what? I heard a good thing last night on the Atheist Experience. That we can measure the wind. That's how we know what the wind is. We measure it. Yeah. So and so you can't tell me anything about the wind anymore. That's how faith is. Because you can't measure Christianity. You can't measure that God you're talking about. We'll I'll tell you what, we'll never ever know if he's real or not because and here's what I mean by that is when in death I definitely won't know because I'll be dead. And I've had alcohol deaths before, and I've had to been resuscitated. And I'm here to tell you, those people out there who write those books of how they seen heaven and hell, I didn't see anything like that, man. Nothing. I had some hallucinations of my voice dragging out way too long whenever I would talk, and it sounded like this. Yeah, man. I knew I was hallucinating. And yeah, yeah, they even had to put adrenaline in me one time just to keep me alive from what they said when I died one time of alcohol. Uh, this last time I had it happen to me, my kidneys were shutting down. I've had my lungs shut down, my kidneys shut down. Everything shuts down off alcohol if you give it long enough. And how I know it's the truth is because it's happening to me. That's an experience. I didn't need a God or a devil to tell me that alcohol deaths are happening. And it's not probably good for you if you want to live. So I quit on my own. I didn't need Jehovah or the devil, like I said. But you guys, I don't understand. I mean, if you can't understand it, then are you sure it's real? You can't measure it. And we can measure everything else. I stay strong on that because I want you to understand that you too can realize it's only you. And how I also know this God isn't a free will God is like I've said before. Okay, free will means that you don't like impose yourself on anybody else unless they want to be involved. Okay, that's free will. Nothing can force you to do anything that you don't want to do. And you have a right to the way you want your lifestyle to be, as long as you don't force your will on anybody else either. Okay, then when we die, if I don't want to go to hell, and the other people behind me that are going to go, if this shit is real, we don't want to go all of a sudden. We should have, if it's free will, the right to pick something else besides hell. If this God can create all these things, me, let's just say I was about to go to hell. I would say, God, do I not have the free will to go back down to earth and live again the same life I lived? Except I'd take the Christianity part out of it. But then again, I don't know. I may not have met my wife if I didn't do the Christian route. Yeah, I did the Christian route, all right. Boy, and it got me nowhere. Like, the Christian route made me drink. Well, it didn't make me. It got me to thinking about drinking, which made me drink. And it also got me to thinking about meth, which made me do meth. And it was tearing up my life. I was praying to God to quit. He wouldn't deliver me from it until I became a responsible person and decided to take responsibility of my actions. That's when I changed. But I didn't need no God or a devil to do that. I don't know. It just it boggles my mind to believe that people would even follow in the footsteps of Christianity. They they force themselves they smother, I should say, the Jesus Christ on an individual who they know is not of Jesus Christ. And they think that they'll be okay and all this other shit. And really they're not because they're sinning. Because if you're God's this free will character that you talk about, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want you smothering people with your religion. You guys say Christianity ain't a religion. It's the belief in Jesus Christ. But I'm here to tell you that it is smothering. I don't know. But it is a religion. Yep. And how I know it's a religion, it's a mass movement that is just going off of, whatever they're told and whatever the pastor reads. And but did you know the pastor also, I bet, knows what not to read at a church? Like about the King David story I just read you, the Lot stories I've read you, how evil God really is. And yeah, God is evil. Well, Jehovah. But you know what? God can be evil. Because if you look at yourself as your own God, then you are both good and evil. There's no escaping the two. The Christian church, with the envy, anger, greed, gluttony, lust, sloth, and pride, the seven deadly sins, they made that to where you couldn't escape sin. I like sin. If they want to call it sin, sin is a cool word. Yeah, I even got a hat that says 666 sinner on it. Yeah, I have a good life, but other people can have a good life too. See, here's what happened to me. I basically sat down and thought one day and said, "You've always wanted a good life, so how are you going to get it?" And I started thinking of ways to get a good life, and now I have one. Before, I just didn't want to. It was just a thought back in the day. It was never a reality back in the day. It was just disaster. And yeah. But anyways, that King David story, just think about that. God made him the king. One of his followers got sent to a war after he got Bathsheba pregnant. And then God took the child's life and had David's wives cheat on him. And this God is loving, or is he evil? Or is he just both? What if he's a manic depressant or whatever you call them, people who just, yeah, I think it's manic depressant. Uh, what if he's that way, one way, and then the next, another way? And what if this God, he said, straight and narrow is the gate, and few there be that find it, that leads to heaven, in Matthew chapter 7. Uh, but if your righteousness is filthy rags, how are you going to get there? Because you can't get there because you're not good either. Because Jesus said, for there is no one that's good but my Father up in heaven. He even asked the guy, why do you call me good? Yeah. So how are you going to make it to heaven again? You don't know how to be good. And you say it's because we recognize Jesus had to die on the cross for our sins. But how's your God this powerful God if he's got to do something like that because of a devil? Who's really more powerful, the devil or him? I think the devil, because the devil's messing up everything God does. And if there was a holy war, if the guy has just been just messing up God's plans, if it comes to fighting God, don't you think he knows how to do that too? I mean, he's probably prepared. I mean, he's Satan, he knows. And why does God wait for this war to happen? Why doesn't it just happen? Why do we got to stay down here on earth and suffer for things that we do? And they say because God is testing you. No, that's not all loving. If you're all loving, you don't want to do that. I mean, playing around is one thing, depending on if people want to play around like that. But I mean, yeah, this God. That's all I can say. What is it about him? Yeah, only he said few, and I think the few are like the tribes of Israel and stuff like that. I think that they are the ones who went to heaven. And if the story is real, all of us down here are going to die and go to hell. Because he says broad is the way to destruction, and many there'll be that find it in Matthew chapter 7 too. It ain't just straight and narrow as the gate and few there be that find it. It's also broad as the way to destruction, and many there'll be that find it. He'll even say, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons in your name and did all these miracles in your name? And he'll say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I've never known you. And you may say that God isn't going to say that to you, but how do you know that? I'm just coming up with like, you know, a scenario, just to make you look at it. And if you don't and you miss it or you hate me for it, I mean, are you purposely doing that? And I don't care if people hate me for who I am or for what I say because I know I'm telling the truth. I've even got scenarios for your side because God, well, Jehovah, wants those who are good. It's kind of weird how you accept this Jesus and how you get to heaven is you got to suffer in life first just to die because Jesus says to die is to gain. And you're not good. So uh, you have to suffer down here on earth and just to die, get to heaven, and accept Jesus. Well, Jesus, you've already accepted him, but he's got to be there by God to tell him that your name is in the book of life? No, because on earth you're in the book of death. And you're still in the book of death because you had to die to go to heaven. Why do you got to die? Why not kind of just keep? I liked my younger age. I mean, I know I've aged because of my face and some of the marks and stuff I got on my flesh. Uh, why can't I get my younger body and get to go to heaven? Why do I gotta suffer down here to die to go to you? You know, God didn't need to kill. Let's just say Jesus was a human being. Uh, God didn't need to kill his only begotten son for forgiveness. He could just give it. You say he can't look upon sin. If he's God and you say he can do anything, he can look upon sin. It shouldn't bother him. He's the one who created it anyway. He created Satan. So you can't tell me God did not create sin. He even says that he's evil. So, uh, I might be a little early on a cigarette. I don't know. I'm talking. Anyways, yeah, you guys need to really go out and look up the stuff that I'm talking about. And you'll say it's of the devil probably, but how do you know? Have you read it? Does it tell you how to get to the devil? And you'll probably say by the things it talks about, why don't you use a mind that has common sense? Is what I got to say about that. The guy who is telling you these things, and there's many accounts of everything we have down here on earth. Many accounts. Anything that's been on earth that's been popular has had an account. This Jesus guy does not even have an account. He's just a claim out of the Bible. That's all he is. People say they found Noah's Ark. No, they didn't. That's probably staged. They say they found Noah's Ark. I mean, not Ark, the Ark of the Covenant. And I guarantee you they didn't, because if they touched the Ark of the Covenant, they would die. At least I think it's the Ark of the Covenant. I have to look again. I haven't read the Ark of the Covenant, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. It was the one that the Israelites are carrying through the desert. Uh, well, through the tribes after they got to the land of milk and honey, they were carrying it around. But anyway, uh, if they had that, how did they get it in the museum? They would have had to have touched it. They could say, well, the poles were there. No, the poles would have rotted away a long time. How did you? Oh, we slid a pole through it. You did. I'd be like, didn't you have to measure it first to see what the size was to put the post through the hole? Didn't you have to touch it? Oh, wait, you just placed your finger on the tape measure. You didn't actually touch it, right? Okay, whatever. But they ain't got that though. That's what I'm trying to say. They do not have the Ark of the Covenant. Uh, man, so glad to be out of Christianity. I ain't got to read those perverted stories and stuff like that. And just knowing that I'm getting fed a line of shit too as I read the Bible. So, I mean, you even just probably read the Gospels of Jesus Christ, which is cool. I mean, you can find flaws in there too. Jesus saying how he didn't come to bring peace but a sword. Why are you dying on the cross for our sins? Isn't that supposed to be peace? We're supposed to have peace when we have you in our hearts. But he said that son would rise against father, a mother against daughter, neighbor-in-law, I forgot against who, but it says that he has come to set variance between man. And the Gospels are all different too. Wouldn't you think that they would have all at least the same story? Besides Jesus getting hung on the cross, the other things that happened, and the Marys that visited the tomb, and all this other shit. Uh, yeah, you actually believe that's real when it talks, and it talks about it differently. How did it happen differently? I mean, did he die 4 different times? I mean, that's what it would have to be. Yeah, I gotta know when I read something that uh it's for sure. It's gonna be certain. It's gonna be the same thing. I'm not gonna read about something and get something different out of it every time I read it. Because when you go back through the Bible, you will read things that you didn't read before. You know, some things you skip probably because your eyes got lazy. Uh, but anyways, yeah, for me, like I said, it's got to be the same thing. Like the 4 Gospels, they got to be the same. The accounts, everything. You know, they say Luke was the best out of all of them about giving the accounts. And one thing he doesn't have is when Jesus turned water into wine. If he's the best one out of them all, don't you think his book would have that in it? Yeah, he was the best, supposedly. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, kind of running out of things to say. But for those of you that watched this video that enjoyed it, hell yeah. But Christians, for you watching it, hell yeah. Maybe you'll learn something. Yeah, especially about how perverted the Bible is. One more thing, the Song of Solomon. If anybody hasn't read that, read that book. And you tell me if kids should read that. They're going to eventually be like, Mommy, Daddy, what does it mean? And then guess what time that means? You're going to have to explain it. Yeah, if I had a kid, I wouldn't, like the Holy Bible I got that I go to about these things. Uh, if I had a kid, that Bible would be locked in the safe. Yeah, I would not want my kid picking it up, reading it. And it's not because I'm the devil and trying to get him not to accept Jesus. Like I said, the perverted stories, very perverted too. Yeah, King David was like a snuff film because the kid had to die. That was sad. It wasn't the kid's fault that those two had sex together. That was their fault. If anybody had to die, it should have been them. Yeah, kid. Yeah, David knew what could have happened. He knew if he had sex with her, he might got her pregnant. Or maybe he did on purpose. Maybe he couldn't pull out. Oh, man. Yep. But anyways, that pissed a bunch of Christians off. Oh, well. But anyways, this video is over. 39 minutes and 42 seconds. All right, hell Satan, hell yourselves because you deserve it.